Oh, that's not quite worked. I love the technology. Love the technology. There we go. There we go. That's a bit better. Cool. We'll keep figuring out the tech. Actually, I'm realizing I can't see you guys. That's gone really well for me. How do I get chat onto a window I can see? I am doing well. I'm doing well. Ali Reza. I've seen my old preview of me was a bit frozen. Hang on. See if I can. I think I'm a bit fuzzy. I'm realizing I can't do it on that screen because I can't see myself well enough. Cool. I think I'm a bit less fuzzy. That's good. Excellent. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Right. If I check all the settings, there we go. So today we are going to... Are you having tea? Because I've got tea. And then we are going to be digging back into the fee user interface for 1.14. So Patrick's just given me a lot of really helpful feedback on that. So we had a whole big thing where so we had an idea what we thought we wanted the user interface to look like, and then once 1.14.4 went out, there was a bit of an uncertainty of what we actually wanted in the end, and I did a mock-up simply to have something to visualize. So I'm just making the tea here. And then that got a review, which I hadn't expected, and I kind of freaked out, honestly. I was a bit, oh no, this was not meant as a final thing. This shouldn't be reviewed. And I didn't think it was going to be passing review at all. So I then raised a simpler version instead and closed the original. And Patrick went, why did you close the original? I was a bit, oh, I didn't think that would ever get through review. Oops. Bit of an awkward moment where he felt ignored and I hadn't meant to. Anyway, we're moving on now. So I've reopened the original work. I've got a whole bunch of refinements he's requested on the user interface. I think they're really good. And that should then give us something we have consensus on. I'm going to tackle questions in a second. Thank you, Andre. So Ali Reza asks, what's the difference between 121 and 1.14.5? So it's 1.14.5. So 121 is a complete rebuild. So it takes the latest Bitcoin core, or it was the latest when we started, and it does a complete rebuild end-to-end of Dogecoin using that as a technology base. And that moves us both forward in what they've learned in for several years, but also what I, as an engineer, have improved in several years. But that means it's a much bigger testing cycle. So it actually basically works, but we need to have it tested. 1.14.5 is how we ship features faster to get them up and usable. Right, seems to be working. It is still a bit of a learning experience for me, figure out how all the different parts of this are going to work. And I'm apparently cutting myself off over here in a way that I shouldn't be. I move that slight to the right. Is it just going to ping the green screen? Oh no, yeah, a little bit green screen. I'm a little tempted. I'm going to try adjusting the green screen. It's just going to fall over. Oh. Okay, so thank you for sticking with me while the fourth wall falls over. I'm pouring the tea and then we will start coding. So obviously you don't have like the redeems and all these things. It's all a bit of a learning experience. So I need to get, I think it's 4,000 hours watched before I start getting the monetization option. So if you're thinking of all the things you see on other platforms and aren't there yet, yeah, they're coming. I mean, probably for now it's good because it's quieter. Like you're not going to be competing for attention because, yeah, it's just not. Have I managed to go live on two different things at the same time, by the way? I haven't, have I? Because I've just realised this camera's on. So if anyone's watching this stream over here, hi to the second stream. I'm a professional. I have seen that there was a Wall Street Journal article. I honestly have not had time to read it. From what I understand, it was a bit, yeah, I'm realizing I can't comment on that. Let's write code. That seems safe. Hang on, I need to actually start the VM up. Oh, yes. So, for those of you saying about live streaming on YouTube, not Twitch, yes. So that is in fact the plan, is I'm going to start live streaming on YouTube on Wednesdays. And I'll be doing Twitch on Sundays. And the reason I'm going to be doing two platforms at once is a bit of A/B testing to see how they perform against each other. And because I have subscribers on Twitch, I don't want to say to people who've paid for a month in advance, hey, I'm just going to ditch you guys and you get nothing for your month. So I want to give people a couple of months transitional period where we see how YouTube works. If it works well, then we potentially look at me switching full-time to Twitch, to YouTube. In reality, I suspect it's going to be a bit of a hybrid for an extended period. Like, I mean, ultimately, I'm just look at the numbers, and I got to be honest, like my viewers here about half what they currently would be on Twitch. I think that's pretty good for where I am. But you see how I want to get the two numbers a bit more lined up before I go all in on a new platform. Doge Dillionaire asks, will there ever be a cap on Dogecoin? There never what has been, although I'm aware that for like a month the documentation was wrong. I don't think there will be, because fundamentally, if you cap, to my mind, this is me personally, not me in any other role, but me personally, if you put a cap on Dogecoin, what you have is Bitcoin with a silly dog on it. Our strength is the fact that we use inflation to subsidize our fees, so you're never going to have multi-dollar fees on Dogecoin because we just build it differently, and that's our strength, but it means that we have that compromise. As I say frequently though, people massively overestimate the number, the percentages. Like, you see many coins that will offer 7, 10, even 20% coins for staking per year. We do about 4% per year for mining. So these numbers aren't that bad. Like, everyone goes, oh, this is a catastrophe. It's really not. And you have to think at where all these proof of stake coins going to go. Are they just going to stop having rewards at some point? How's that going to go? Don't think it's going to go well for them. Dogethereum is a project being run by Oscar, who I had on stream a while ago. I actually have a recording with him that I need to cut into the right shape and then post onto YouTube. That's on me having time and the right tools to do it. Now, let's try some... Is this going to work? It seems to have worked. Cool. I am overlaid on the right background. That's exciting for me. I am excited. Okay, so let's dig into the feedback. Alariza asks, how does it feel when you're a developer of the currency of the world? Terrifying. Especially given this is my side project. I have a full day job. So keep in mind, I got home from work 30 minutes ago, sat down, put the top hat on, turned this on, now coding. Nope, that's the wrong way to go. Pull Dogecoin. Nope. Wow, this has not gone well. Dogecoin pulls. Okay. So this is the feedback I'm going through. We're going to dig into that. I'm aware. But what's the latency like on this? I know that it can be quite a lot longer, so how much earlier am I posting links in versus you hearing about me talking at those links? I'm also conscious that I'm speaking too quickly. I apologise, I'm trying to slow down. I'm a bit excited. Okay, let's give that a go. Right, CD, development, Dogecoin, git fetch, origin, git fetch, upstream is what I really want, git remote. Okay, git checkout. Git rebase upstream. Dead. Okay, perfect. Right, so okay, so the first thing he suggested is just take all the translations back, and then let's see that. There goes CSQT locale. Patch. Come on. So what we're going to do is oh yes, so I haven't uploaded the chat with Oscar, but I have remembered to grab it from Twitch before Twitch deletes it. I think you're a little skew with. Let me try adjusting that. Ooh, I think I made things worse. Never mind. Also, I can't see myself to actually confirm that. Oh, yeah, we've got a little bit over there. There we go. But I do have the recording. I just need to find an editing tool and then slice it down into the right shape. So what I'm doing here is there are files generated for each language that Dogecoin works in. When I made these changes, I tried manually updating these files, which wasn't a great way to do things. So instead, what I'm going to do is revert that, which is Patrick's suggestion, and then we'll do the translations separately later. Hey, the Rick Neil Nick Balls. And good to know latency isn't bad. As you can probably tell, you are over here. So if I'm staring this way, it means I'm reading chat. Code is in front of me here. That's just to explain where my different head angles are, because I know, I mean, obviously the ideal is I'd actually have a chat window over here under the camera, but unfortunately I don't. I look in a mirror so you can see all of this. Also the hats, yeah, the camera should be higher up. Yeah, I might adjust that now. In fact, let's get this right. Here we go, you're up. That's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. I'm going to own that. Cool. Source QT, Dogecoin QT, testnet. Yeah, the block time for Dogecoin is 1 minute, which when we did it was fast, I'll have you know. The fact that it's a lot slower is than other things now. That said, without any names, obviously one blockchain did recently prove that you do have to be very careful pushing the speed boundaries too far. Things do break. The hat always demands screen time. I am immediately accessorize the hat. I do always use Ubuntu for development, and the reason I do that is it's a controlled environment. So I have Windows, I do gaming under Windows, all sorts of random junk are installed on it. So having a Linux VM that I know is in a good state, and also if I need to recreate the whole Linux VM, I can do that quickly, is very convenient. Oh, this is testnet, that's why I've got random 10 Doges coming in. The other thing is, what was I going to say? Yes, so actually that's something else I need to do. When we do releases, we build them on a platform called Gitian. And the moment the documentation on Gitian is out of date, so I want to do a video of installing Gitian at some point, so I'll do that another time. I don't know if I can turn on subtitles. I haven't found that button yet. It is probably there somewhere. I will see what I can do. Okay. But yeah, so this seems to have worked. The basic translations are there. Yep, speeds look still right. Okay, so that's fine. Get status, get source qt start, yes. Commit. Okay, so the second one, okay. Head -1 changes Okay, I'm going to do that to compile while I work on something else. So the next change we're doing is changing the lowest transaction fee that you'll pay, and how that scales with this. So Dogecoin fees.cvp, and then I believe source init. Okay. Oh no, this might be only, okay. Of course, I've just been editing code as I was going, so that's probably confused things a lot. Let's go oh, Andreas Voigt says, thanks for the 1 bazillion Doge. So, Andreas, I'm presuming... I'm realizing I shouldn't name people's other names. So I sent someone 1 billion testnet Dogecoins recently. Because it did ask for 1 bazillion Doge. Now, testnet Dogecoins, of course, are completely valueless because they're very easy to mine and can be easily... replaced or hacked, basically. So not hacked, but you can do a 51% attack on testnet, which makes it intentionally valueless, but it's great for testing with. Reza points out it's a bad time for US people. Yes, unfortunately this is 8 o'clock at night for me, so if I did this say at 6 p.m. Eastern, that would be 11 o'clock at night for me. I would wrap up at 1 a.m. and then I have to be up and in work less than 8 hours afterwards. So that's why why the Wednesday ones are quite early, unfortunately. The Sunday ones are meant to be the sort of US friendly time zone. That's brilliant, Nick. That's brilliant, Nick Ball. That's great. As some of you may have seen, I was doing some tests on the live network quite recently, and it seems to confirm in typically 2 to 3 blocks. So about I think up to 3-minute average. We saw one case at 8 minutes, but not many. Stuff I Don't Need asks, what is our next Dogecoin milestone and how do you measure its success? So the next one I think is this fee release, and the success criteria. And the success for that are not just reducing what the fees are, but making it easy to understand what the amounts we're using are. So we use pre-calculated fees, unlike Bitcoin that has a fee market, and part of that is to avoid sort of a fee escalation. But that means the user interface is different, and that's what I'm currently experimenting with. I was looking at the weekend into how to get the fee market code to capture data correctly for Dogecoin, but we still have the problem that we don't want the fee market to escalate the fees. Like, we want it to pick numbers that are ideal, slightly on the low side, not slightly raise them, if that makes any sense. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, git diff. Source Dogecoin fees.cpp. Source star.cpp. Oh, what? Oh, I am looking at the Lo-Fi Girl chat, not my own chat. Awkward start. I've lost you. Oh no! Where are you? There you go. Cool. Phew, that was awkward. So the next milestone after that will be I don't know. We're going to be doing 2 different releases in parallel. I'm hoping we can start getting more of the work on 121 merged. As some people have already seen, it does actually basically work. It's just we need a QA cycle for it. Squirrely asks, what would the Doge Ethereum bridge accomplish? This will let you use Dogecoins in Ethereum smart contracts and hypothetically other smart blockchains as well. So if anything that can bridge from Ethereum to that blockchain, you can then take these tokens on Ethereum and bridge them again, or potentially we can look at adapting that bridge to work with other blockchains directly. So this is one route that you might be able to exchange Dogecoins for NFTs, for example. There are other companies working on that as well. Mr. S says, why there is no proper update from the Dogecoin official Twitter account? Good point. So basically because we hit a big problem with making sure nothing we posted there was controversial or problematic, which massively reduces what we can say, and it kind of paralyzed itself. Probably paralyzed itself, not paralyzed. And that's basically what happened there. There is no specific plan to move from proof of work to proof of stake. I know a lot of people want to look into it, but we need to have people who can actually do the evaluation, not just the technical but also the legal, and understand where that is at. Well, that is not right. That will work, but is potentially not what they mean. I do miss the hydrates though. So the Doge Ethereum bridge is a completely separate project, so they can release in their own separate cycle. And again, so I had Oscar on stream, I think last week, was it last? Yeah, last Wednesday in fact. And he said, quote, months, unquote. So that's as much of a release date as I've got right now. So the Doge Ethereum bridge is quite different in that you actually freeze Dogecoins to get the tokens rather than a central body holds them. Although, yeah, it's a similar concept in that, in theory, for example, Tether is backed 1-to-1 by the US dollar. The Dogecoin bridge will have a token backed by Dogecoins. The difference is that you can see where the Dogecoins are. So here's a question. You're saying you hate proof of stake, but to me we have a problem with both of these. That inevitably, like everyone says, oh, proof of stake pays people who have money, but then proof of work pays people who have a lot of mining hardware. This has been one of my big objections to the concept of a fair launch, is they're not actually that fair, because someone with who can buy a data center worth of graphics cards is still going to be mining more. So that's kind of I know it's going to be controversial, and this is why we want to do an analysis, because we don't want to just say, oh, we're going to do X. We want to go, okay, here is the pros and the cons, what it looks like, the legal aspects, because ultimately if we take a token and we say, hey, this will give you more tokens if you stake it, we are to some degree suggesting it's going to go up in value. That makes it sound like a security, and then the SEC or the FCA potentially get involved. We're hoping that's not going to be a problem, but it is something that we are conscious of and want to be careful of, certainly. Dogecoin TT, testnet. So Vitalik, keep in mind, has been a fan of Dogecoin since previous to Ethereum's launch. I mean, Ethereum were big fans of us back when we were actually an established currency and they were still forming. So it's not like it's a new thing where he suddenly got in contact with us. He's also made a fair chunk of money off Doge, is my understanding. Probably helps. Okay. So got a priority slider that does priority things. Does the number work? Ooh. 0.0125 521. Okay, so it sums out with sensible numbers. Merge wallet transaction fee balance. Okay. Actually, let's go with that for now. Sorry, I will catch up with questions in a second. I mean, it's actually it's also a very good point. Bram Cohen reached out and talked about doing proof of storage, for example. So there are other options we could also look at. That's the same solution that Clear Network uses. And suddenly there's also potential for having multiple proof approaches. Like we already use proof of work on our own native chain and merged mining. Everyone uses merged mining, but you do have both as an option. So it's interesting on the taxes. For example, in the UK, I'm already paying... I pay horrific taxes if I mine or stake. This is part of the reason I don't mine, because I would be paying 45% on anything I make on mining, which is just, it's not useful to me. So it's interesting that Germany sounds like it's less terrible normally, but not on stake. Yeah, the funny story, I don't actually own a Tesla. Don't have a car. Don't have a parking space. Welcome to London. Source wallet. Transaction speed. Oops. Right. Yeah, I've heard this about Germany, and if you hold equity for a year, you don't pay no taxes. That's amazing. Like for someone who is paying a lot of taxes. I mean, there are ways. I mean, obviously, the counterpoint on the taxes, and I'm paying income taxes on them, is any of my costs, reduce those. So the server. So I do some staking. And the servers I use to stake count as an expense that I can count against the income. So it's kind of better, but yeah, it's mostly an interesting curio rather than terribly cost effective for me. Oh, that's interesting. Dogecoin fees. Huh? So this is complaining out something that doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm making, I think it's like 2% or something. It's crazy. Yeah, as I said, there's a really good reason I don't do proof of work or I don't do mining or staking in any serious way here. Like, it just doesn't make sense for what I'm doing. Also, potentially I need to move to Germany. I mean, seriously considered it. I think the new fees were talking more like weeks, simply because I need to get this approved by other people. Sorry, I am just... So someone asked, what about electricity costs? And I'm kind of going, anyway, I can look that up. So I'm just going to realise that I don't have that on my phone. Okay, I can't look that up. So let's try it over here. You would think finding electricity costs wouldn't be hard. So I pay per kilowatt. So I pay 21 pence per kilowatt, so around 29 cents per kilowatt hour. Again, this is why I don't mind. Like, you know, does not make any sense where I am. And like, you know, see, interesting indirect, because that's kind of, for me, probably better, because one of my great annoyances is that I work really hard, I get a better job, the job pays better, but because I haven't really had time to gain, to gain savings and investments, my tax burden is a lot higher than perhaps someone else who hadn't, compared to my wealth, my tax burden is very high, and it makes it an uphill struggle to gain these investments. And this is the thing, is everyone presumes I'm a multimillionaire, and there's an inference back there that I had the money to invest in crypto several years ago when it was cheap, and I didn't really. Like, I had bits, but like not that I could risk a lot, and very often at the point it was cheap, my money was tied up in other things. So that's why I find myself, I'm doing okay, don't get me wrong, I'm not about to starve, but I'm not a millionaire either. And therefore it does actually annoy me that I pay so much income tax because I work hard. And it makes it harder for me to get rich in the way that someone who simply inherited the money would not struggle with. I find that frustrating. Yeah, London has a lot of things to go for it. The cost of electricity is not one of them. I have actually just changed electricity provider, so the new one hopefully is a bit less. But I think also the UK's kind of screwed itself with Brexit, and like all the stuff we import, and that's many resources, is now more expensive. So of course electricity is getting more expensive to manufacture. Ooh, 48% tax is terrible. That said, I did have one employer that screwed up the taxes really badly, and I had 60% on some of my income, which was just crazy. Because there's a thing, if you're paid equity in the UK, not 60%, 50%. If you're paid equity in the UK, they can make you pay an additional tax that normally the employer pays. So whereas I was paying X, I was now paying this additional tax on top of it. It was horrific. QT, Dogecoin QT, test it. Yeah, percent batteries, I think that's the right answer at this point. I wonder what would happen, like, if I wanted to get I'm not driving in London, no. But if I wanted to, like, what would the experience be like? If I wanted to get a Tesla, would it be in any way cost effective in London? It's a very interesting question. Okay, so this priority is still working, that's good, we've wired that all up correctly. This is basically just cleaning all of this up so we can do stuff with it. Git diff, okay, git commit, okay. Oh, that's a good question. So Justin Engels asks, how is the representative Elon Musk working together with the foundation? So that's Jared. So Jared provides sort of advice. His background is financial, and obviously he is a contact point for Elon. So if we have questions such as the impact of establishing ourselves in different jurisdictions, or the tax implications of this choice or that choice, or reviewing a legal contract, he is the go-to person for that. So he is someone we would email and say, hey, we're looking at X, can you give us our input on that? There is a general path in which I think we want to have board meetings at some point, to which of course Jared would be welcome. But because we have 5 people in 5 time zones, getting a point that we can all attend doesn't really happen. So we do asynchronous meetings right now, and that tends to be a lot of email, basically. Okay. Hang on, let me pull this back up again. I miss editors that remember the last thing you did a search and replace for, because that's really helpful in an editor. Oh, that's still the wrong window. So let me close that one and move this on over there. So the thing, Razor, is that I have a day job. My day job keeps me in London, so that's kind of what tethers me, and that's working out well. And there are other people who are focusing on the crypto side. Again, I'm kind of in a not middle management because I'm a little technical, position that doesn't exist in the foundation, so they would be overpaying me to take me full time. So it just makes sense we'll get other people doing that. I'm going to stick to sort of this casual streaming and doing this for fun, but we're going to have other people doing it full time. So I'll be staying in London, but I don't know where we're going to establish. Would we ever have a physical office? That's a good question. There's a lot of getting the ball rolling and working out what that looks like. Good question on the roadmap. I don't know. I actually meant to ping the foundation before I went live and say, hey, what am I talking about tonight? And because I had 20 minutes between getting home and going live, I have not done that. So yeah, I haven't opened the foundation chat in quite a few hours, and that's going to be super exciting when I get off this stream. Wish me luck. I think you can definitely have proof of stake and proof of work. So Peercoin's proven that. Can you have other approaches? Potentially. Again, a lot of this, even just having proof of stake and what would proof of stake look like, we want to have a system architect do that analysis and going, this is what this would look like at scale. As the performance goes up, these are what the numbers come out like. I've not done this anyway, and in parallel, that's why it's running so slowly. I might actually quietly open the foundation chat and see if there's anything I can relay. This is always a bit of a Pandora's box. Am I going to open and find 300 messages, or Also, that's the other thing we've been doing, is we've been talking to wallet providers. I was about to name them and realised I shouldn't. about the new fees, so they'll also be and looking at how they'll adopt them. So some of them want to use the RPC commands in Dogecoin to get an understanding of the fees, and therefore we're going to modify those RPCs to simulate the numbers they want and pair that up with potentially this user interface. So if we say, well, these presets are where we expect the fees to be, we might modify the RPC and be remote procedure call. The RPC that they can use to give them those numbers the same way the user interface looks similar. Okay, I can't see anything that I'm allowed to talk about on the foundation right now, so that's good. Or simple at least. Many speed. So we're just slowly replacing bits of this. And the reason we're doing this stepwise is that we don't want to yeah, okay, so this one is git log git push origin, because this will then mark all the things I've done that match up with Patrick's suggestions. So we then oh sorry, I will catch up with chat in a second. Amaze. Need to focus or I'll lose track of where I am. Cool. So Abhishek asks one more question. Can we think of a use case for Dogecoin where it can be used to mortgage and lend stuff digitally? Yes, and I think that's one of the things that Dogecoin can do that you couldn't use, for example, Bitcoin with. Like, you wouldn't want to take out a mortgage in Bitcoin because can you imagine if you wake up one day and your mortgage is now 10 times what it was the year before? That would be horrifying. Whereas Dogecoin is stabler, and this is also part of why I don't want to give any price prediction because I don't really know. But yes, and the Doge Ethereum bridge, for example, could enable this. It could let you use a Doge loan in a smart contract on Ethereum. So you put your Doge you would put some sort of collateral in, and that's potentially an NFT, and you get Dogecoin back, and then you pay that Dogecoin down until you get your NFT back, along with paying off the interest, obviously. And similarly, you could lend Dogecoin to people and earn interest on them. Again, be careful of the tax implications, please. Div head 3. Such fast was become such expensive. That was it. Expensive. And I am nearly out of tea. That's a bit of a disaster. Something I'm realizing I like a lot actually about YouTube is on Twitch, your number of concurrent viewers is how they judge you. So one of the things I find as a streamer is if my concurrent viewers dip, I'm actually motivated to cut the stream early. On YouTube, it's the number of hours watched, which is fascinating, because it means that even if I only have one viewer, the longer I stream, the more I get. And I think it's a much healthier model. That's really interesting for me. Sorry, I find this really cool. Oh! I have to say this, by the way. So I finally got this all cleared with work. I can talk about where I work, but it becomes important that I talk about where I work, because now I'm talking about their products. So, I work at Google. That's my day job. Google Ads, not YouTube. But, yeah. Andreas asked, did you tell your co-workers what you're doing in your free time? My manager knows. 2 of the managers who work as my peers know. And there's a few other people around the company who are interested in blockchain, and they're conscious of this. The other software engineers in my immediate area, no, I haven't told them. I think it would be, from experience, it was weird when Dogecoin was smaller. And even I've had times where people would not want to challenge my perspective on something because they felt I had to know better than they did, so they just presumed they were wrong. So I don't mention it because I want people to challenge me and give me their opinions, which is super critical right now because I'm 3 months into a role and they know vastly more of the general role than I do. Andreas says, can you fix my Android? That depends what's up with it. I don't work in the Android team, so probably not more than anyone else did. Arachnoise asked, is YouTube less toxic than Twitch? I think the communities, I've had a good experience with the Twitch community. As a platform, I imagine they're broadly similar. But I think it's just going to be seeing how many people I get on the different platforms. The monetization on YouTube, I think, will suit me better. I like the technology stack a bit more. We'll see how that goes. Right, so... Oops, update, reset, priority labels. Yes. Well, so Chris asks, do you use Chromebooks to code at Google? Yes and no. I work on a Chromebook day to day, and that's something that is coding. But similarly to the way that I often use cloud computing to work on systems here, in Google I'm doing the same thing. So what I'm building on is a remote server, but I'm doing it through a Chromebook. Does that make sense? So the compilation is remote. I'm just editing locally. I smell burning. That's not good. Justin asks, what is your main goal of coding on Dogecoin? That's complicated. So I jumped into Dogecoin. I mean, there's a few reasons, and every now and then someone turns up and goes, I think you're only in this for the attention. And I'm kind of, I've always openly been in this for the attention. That's why I live stream. So that's one part of it. Part of it is that I find it interesting and challenging. That's also part of it. But I also want to see a cryptocurrency, that can compete with PayPal. Not gold, but PayPal. I want to have, even if it makes PayPal better, it still can succeed that way. That it can act as effective competition to the PayPal, the Western Union, all these, payment providers that charge incredibly high fees, to my mind. We want to compete with them and bring those fees down and make things cheaper. We want people to get through their day-to-day paying less to a company. Now, oops. The question here is going to be, have I got the slider right, or is this about to crash? It'll be exciting. Hey, Phantom 56476. I did find it really interesting. YouTube gives me a viewer count chart, and every now and then it just drops off, and I'm just kind of, did I say something wrong? Oh, I see. It's a statistics gathering problem. I'm just, oh my goodness, like viewership went down 2/3 a bit. Did I just annoy everyone? Oh. Right, so 521, that's good. 1, 2.1, 0.5, 0, 10. Yeah, that's basically okay. Huh. I apparently just mined a whole bunch of cryptocurrency somewhere. That's interesting. I wonder what happened. Not complaining, just confused. Diff git commit, what I say, 2.5x option. So what I'm trying to figure out is this bit that Patrick is talking about with the fee label, and I don't know where he's talking about. I mean, the other thing with, the Chromebooks, it absolutely work. It's actually interesting when I was requesting hardware, my boss went, yeah, we'll try a Chromebook, see how you get on. Obviously, he was quite nervous about this. But and again, like, I'm talking about my own employer's hardware, so I'm going to upsell it. But the high-end Chromebooks are actually really quite nice. They work really well for what we do. And again, I'm editing locally, and the files are held on a remote file system. And when I press build, what's actually happening is that's kicking off a build process on a massive external system. I'm going to be very careful about the details of what I say here. But I think this is all public. But yeah, Chromebooks work. I mean, I wouldn't. So you, for example, if you wanted to do the same thing yourself, you could get a Chromebook and use it with GitHub code spaces, I believe it's called. Let me just double check that. GitHub code spaces. Yeah, GitHub code spaces would be the equivalent, where your build actually happens on a remote system. You're just editing it locally. So, I see. He's talking about putting it after here, I think. So I take wow and much speed off. So okay, so I think I get what he means. So I think what he means is put the two labels that are on the slider back, and then when the fee is visible, it actually puts the cute little text next to the fee. So the fee amount. Yeah, Leo, we don't talk about that at all. Andreas asked, did they Google you before they hired you at Google? They did not. That was an absolutely hilarious discussion with the recruiter at the 11th hour when I was signing the contract and talking about Dogecoin and its interaction with their contract, and they went, I'm sorry, you do what? It was fine, but it was a conversation. It was a very, very interesting conversation. But also an interesting commentary on, we tell people to do portfolio work and so few places actually read it. I think some of the recruiters did. So not the recruiters, the interviewers did. And I, as an interviewer, absolutely do. But it does make the point not many people do. Hey Ronald, good to meet you too. Andreas asks, have you been headhunted via those LinkedIn recruiters, or did you apply regularly? So I applied for Google back in 2013 and again in 2015-16. Made it to final stage interview in both cases, didn't make it through the interview, narrowly missed both times. And at that point I went, this is clearly not working, I'm not going to keep applying. And what then happened was Google reached out to me at the end of last year and went, hey, do you want to interview? I was a bit, oh, okay. I suspect, so the recruiter I dealt with the first time had moved on to a different role. And congratulations to her. And I think the new recruiter came in and oh, there we go. Label priority. That should be, that was way more change than I expected. I may have gone through their entire back catalogue of people and went, hey, do you want to interview? But it worked out really well for me, obviously. And they offered me a job that I felt was a much better fit for me compared to where I was at the time, and maybe a little bit more money. Sorry, I found all the statistics I can play with them. A bit distracted there. Hey, Andlid. So the so Google did offer me a job in the end, so I hope they don't regret it. I think they may regret not hiring me earlier, but realistically, as someone who's done the recruiting, I'm aware that it is tricky, and we accept a high false negative rate, as in we know that we reject good candidates because it's cheaper to reject a good candidate than to accept a bad candidate. So that's where that comes from. It's fine. Like, I mean, I'm there now. Okay, so that's confirmation target label. Source QT send control. Get diff head. So I'm just reverting some of the changes we don't need anymore, but let me commit this first. Source QT form send source QT send control to commit revert edit equals. So the foundation. Well, that's a good question about recruiting. So the foundation needs to work out what its sort of first few years budget looks like. Part of that depends on what the taxes on the tip jar are, because obviously we've got a certain amount of money, but then if we lose 20% or we lose 40% to taxes, both of these potential numbers, that changes how much that will last. And from there, it can sort of work out how many developers it wants. I think we've got enough developers to get us launched. and I imagine that Tim and Mitchy will then take on recruiting after that, but we'll see. Right, so... this is 587, give or take. And 611. Phantom, keep in mind there will be full-time developers, and there'll be full-time developers who aren't. So I'm partly management, partly leadership. What I do isn't specialized to Dogecoin. We've got people who, yes, they're less visible, you don't interact with them day to day, but they're actually better at Dogecoin code than I am, and that's why we want them. This isn't my speciality. And I haven't seen a car. Oh, there's a gym. Yeah, there's a gym in the London headquarters. That's very nice. Yeah, there's a full-blown gym. Oh, hydrate. Thank you. Leo, I believe you will find they only actually care that you never leave the office. I have seen the lunches, and they are not healthy. They are delicious, though. Dear Google. Also, a lot of kale. We don't know what's with the kale. Okay, so that's it back again. And well, that's interesting. So it returns a Q string. Can I just turn car star? Is that going? Yeah, I think I can turn car star, can't I? Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, I sort of want to move in there too. It's quite tempting. Chris asks, how many hours per week do you estimate you work on tech? A lot more than I want to. It's like a crazy amount. Like, I mean, the base day job is a lot of hours, and then Dogecoin on top of that. So I'm guessing in the region of 60 to 70, maybe 80 at times. Like, there's a reason I want to get the Dogecoin Foundation up and running, and hand a lot of the responsibility over to them, so I can go back to part-time, well, to sort of casual time on this, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, that's good. Focus on the day job, that's also good for me. They've got dedicated people who are doing this full time. Andreas asks, is there a compliance guideline on having iPhones? Not that I've seen, but I have an Android phone. So... He says quickly checking his Android phone. Yeah, I saw about the critical iPhone update. It's okay, the hat is so... So what we're doing here is we're just tweaking the label that you see on the QT display as I slide it around, hopefully. I've got this right. Have I got it right though? To be determined. Okay. QT, Dogecoin fees, SCB, QT, Sendcoins, dialog, TP. I can't just stop hammering away. This is a can keep hammering away with this, but I shouldn't. Confirmation target label, that was it. Confirmation. Oh, wrong window, that's why. let's go. There they go. Oops. J7. Let's not get too tied up talking about our employer. Like, this is meant to be a stream about Dogecoin, not about what I do for a living. Yeah, I don't know how long this video will stay on YouTube and whether that becomes permanent. I mean, Twitch deletes the VODs after a couple of weeks because I'm not yet a partner. I don't know if YouTube will just keep this. I presume it will. Oh, that's interesting. So... So the first two of these don't work at all. So that's good to know. Source, QT, Dogecoin, nope. Send, Canonical Dialogue, CPP. 2. Hey, Roasting. I was going to say, you're a little late, though. I'm towards the end of the stream. We've nearly got the work wrapped up. I'm about to merge everything I've been doing down and just send it in for review. So, welcome. Alright, so that's actually managed to reverse itself. Label. Get Dogecoin priority label. There we go. Yeah, so just for everyone who has come in a bit later, the plan is that I'm going to be doing YouTube on Wednesdays, Twitch on Sundays. And we'll probably be doing that for a couple of months to see how it goes. I mean, obviously, if YouTube massively takes off, becomes insanely popular, I'll switch faster. If Twitch suddenly gets much more popular, I might switch back again. I imagine the two will stay broadly in sync with a slow transition to YouTube, and then we'll readdress in a couple of months. And that's for a few reasons. Partly I don't want to just ditch my Twitch audience. Partly I don't want anyone who subscribed on Twitch to not get anything for their money. So I want to give people a bit of a transitional period in which they can decide if they want to keep subscribing, knowing that I am probably switching. And also, like, the fact that I'm moving to YouTube doesn't mean I will never stream on Twitch again. Okay, so that is such expensive. Wow, fast, double. Okay. Okay, I think that works. Replace slow target display with speed message log. Cool. That should be a much more viable user interface, or at least something that's much more addressable. Okay. Oh, it's lost my YouTube window again. There we go. Roasting the Rooster says you can stream on both Twitch and YouTube at once. So, technically difficult but possible. However, part of the contract I have with Twitch is that I won't stream on two platforms simultaneously. In fact, they have a 24-hour exclusive period. So anything I put on Twitch, I can't apply to a different platform until the next day. But I can certainly do it on different days, no problem. I can do different content on the same day, all sorts of things like that. I can't raid out to chickens yet. It's probably for better for everyone. Oh, hey Stephen, good to see you. You're in fact just turning up for me wrapping up actually. So yes, so today we've addressed a whole bunch of feedback on the fee user interface. I need to send that back to Mitchie now for her feedback because I replied one person's. I want Mitchie's. Well, we replied Patrick's feedback on Mitchie's design that I'm just coding the coding for. And now I want Mitchie's feedback on Patrick's design. I'm going to sort of bounce the two until we get a point that we're all happy with. Hopefully with a couple more cycles that will be done potentially this week. I don't know. I'm hoping before my Sunday stream. Sunday stream will be back on Twitch, but again YouTube will be doing next Wednesday as normal, as is going to become the pattern. I will schedule that and announce it in the next couple of days, because I think if I announce it too early you'll lose track of it. Thanks actually for coming, and thank you for being part of my first YouTube stream. It's been good seeing you, and good night everyone.